Good afternoon and welcome to the final round of the GrTwosdays Championship with the Ultimate Racing League. This is the League 2 race and we are here in Canada, in Montreal, on the Notre Dame Island where the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve plays host to our championship. As I said, this is the final round of the championship. It has been a long season and we are left with just 9 drivers on the grid. As you can see, the season taking its toll on many of the drivers. So we are here with the League 2 guys for the final time in the NSX Concept 16. I'll take you down through the grid after they've done their qualifying session, and then we will get the race underway. So in pole position we have HKRT Damien, championship leader, pretty much sewn up, I think, if I remember the points totals rightly, and he is on pole for this race. In second place you've got SRT Sue, so another one of the Greek guys that have come over from Greece to take part in the championship, and he was a latecomer in the championship. But he has put it in second place on the grid. Some great battles the last 2 races, difference in strategies, and Sue trying to take it to Damien in both races prior. Can he do it finally at the last race of the season? In third place, a great qualifying from Hoyland. As I've said throughout this season, he initially fell away from the championship, but rejoined. I think it was round 3 and 4. He sort of had a little blip, but he's stuck in it, and he's been gradually getting quicker and quicker, learning all the time. And well, he's put it in third place on the grid at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, a really challenging track to get the grips with these cars in particular. So great stuff there from Hoyland, putting it third on the grid. City Milk in fourth, another good performer that we've had this season. He's put it in fourth place on the grid. And our championship second place battler, Grahamid Ali, is in fifth, battling for second place in the second place in the championship with Pablo Jr. So he's currently ahead of him on the grid after qualifying. MST Shadow, another latecomer to the championship, is in sixth. Some great performances from him. In seventh place, we've got the HKRT Racing Team's Paris. And in eighth, we've got second place. Did I say sixth? Seventh for Paris. Eighth, we've got Pablo Jr. As I said, second place battler in the championship. A few places behind Grahamid. Can he keep the pace up and make sure he secures that second place, which is held for most of the season? In ninth place, we have Vane, another of the URL racing drivers. So, without further ado, let's get the race underway. We are beginning the race in the afternoon hours at the race circuit in Montreal, and Damien will now take us away to start the first lap as they go down into the Senna S's. As said in the League 1 race, Senna S's, as you can see there from that bird's eye view, great timing from the cameraman. The Senna S's looking like the S logo for Ayrton Senna, as it looks like we've got some movers, shakers and movers. Grahamid Ali dropping back a few places through those early turns, and Pablo Jr. now in behind him, which is great stuff from him, and exactly what he needs to try and secure second place in the championship as we head through turns 3 and 4 and onto the straight down to turns 8 and 9, a really fast chicane known as the kink, I believe, in Canada. So a nice little fast corner there as they head down towards the hairpin, and we've lost one. Oh, Grahamid Ali. So he had a rough time last time out where he'd had an unfortunate spin, and it looks like he's got it all wrong. Oh yeah, he's got it all wrong. A little bit of a tank slapper there, and it's throwing him into the barrier, and now he's at the back of the grid and he's got all the work to do. We got to Damien. It looks like Titty Milk has got through on Hoyland. But Titty Milk looking to make moves early on. He's been a good. He's shown good improvement throughout this season. He's secured his first podium earlier a few races ago, and has constantly been in and around the top 5 every race. I think, if my memory serves me correctly. So he's going to be looking, by the looks of things, to try and secure another podium. So great stuff from him as MST Shadow gets through on Hoyland as well. So Hoyland, after his great qualifying, going backwards a little bit at the minute. Looks like he made a mistake at the Wall of Champions. Have a little look, see if the Wall of Champions claiming another victim there. And as we also, it looks like we lost Paris there as well. Have a little look, see what happened to Paris. Maybe he became a victim of the chicane as well. As he heads down towards into the braking zone. And he just goes wide and he has to take for the escape road. That should avoid him a penalty as he's not gained any time. Hopefully the game is kind to him, which it has been, and he drops back. He's going to hold the inside line going into turns into the centre S's, but he's going to have to roll off and go back after Vane down the straight. So Damien's starting to stretch his legs out in front. Hugh coming up behind. A long way back already for Sue, really. Titty Milk there chasing him down in third place. So just going down for the tyres. So we got mediums for HKRT, Damien and Sue, but then we got Titty Milk on the softs, which is why he's making headway early on. MST Shadow there in fourth on the mediums. After getting through on Hoyland, he was in fifth on those mediums as well. Pablo Jr. on the softs, so he's going to be pushing to try and make swift progress through the field. Vane there in seventh, moving forward as well from the last place on the grid. So he's got his head down and making moves. He's on those medium tyres. Perez is on the hards with Muhammad Ali also on the hard tyres. So even though he's off the back of the field, long race ahead and starting on the worst compound, this could still come to him if he gets his strategy spot on compared to the others. As we go back up to Damien, Sue and Titty Milk. So everybody's sort of spreading out a little bit. Nothing going on with regards to battles, especially not like we've seen in League One, but I'm sure things will start to close up as the strategists start to come into their own. Crazy thing I didn't know about about this track, as we're obviously it's a street circuit around, which I did know, the street circuit, but I had a temporary circuit held on public roads. But I didn't realise until I looked into it that the actual circuit played host to several NASCAR races after a deal was struck back in 2006 for between 2007 and 2011. Which actually led to the first ever race for NASCAR to ever be run on rain tyres, which happened in 2008. So interesting little bit of information there for you. But yeah, NASCAR was held around this circuit. How crazy is that? So yeah, I'd like to give you a little bit of information on the circuits as we watch the guys go round. So that's your little fact for this one. You there then in second, hunting down Damien in first, with Titty Milk dropping off the back of these two now. They look to be settling in. Titty Milk needs to be making use of those soft tyres really, but the two in front look to have some really strong pace on those medium tyres in the 27s there, so looking really strong. With Titty Milk there third, Hoyland in fourth. So Hoyland showing some good pace there to get past MST Shadow, and that's MST Shadow has made a mistake. Doesn't look like he made a mistake actually. He's got carrying some damage. Reckon he was probably a victim of the Wall of Champions, and he was. He's got on that sausage curve on the inside, and it spat him out into the wall on the outside, and Hoyland is making his way past Shadow, and Shadow is now going to have to contend with Pablo Jr. coming up behind as well. As he nurses that damaged front wing for a few corners as it tries to repair itself around the lap. Vane picking up a half-second time penalty. Very easy to do around here. There's a couple of places where you can get a bit keen and cut the corners and end up with a half-second here, a half-second there, and it can build up. The penalty zone being served on the second the first part of the main straight, separated by the Wall of Champions chicane. Muhammad Ali then sat at the back of the field, just trying to get into a rhythm there, just trying to see if he can build on the gap, reduce the gap to Paris up ahead and the rest of the field whilst he is on those hard tyres. He could do with some of these guys having some battles, but he is a good portion quicker than Paris. Over a second a lap, about a second a lap quicker at the moment on the same tyre compound. So Grahamid really is trying his hardest to get back up and in contention. Vane having served his half-second time penalty on that straight, and Pablo there in 6th, chasing down MST Shadow. Hoyland just stretching his legs now and separating himself from MST Shadow, but then it's a decent gap up to Tiddy Milk, who then has dropped right back off of the battling Greeks up in front in first and second. HKRT Damien and SRT Sue. And they are basically trading lap times, very, very similar lap times, but does look like Sue is starting to come back at Damien a little bit, so the gap's starting to shrink. Are they using similar fuel? Damien using a bit more fuel. We know Sue has got the fuel saving down to a T really around here in this car, and is in the last few races has been able to maintain the pace whilst also delivering a very really strong fuel saving ability, and that is starting to you would hope would be paying dividends for him. He's nearly took it to Damien in the last 2 races. Oh, and he's become a victim of the wall of death there, the wall of champions there, and is spatting into that wall on the exit of that chicane. And he's dropped back as a result. Obviously the time difference there between the last laps, a good second difference, so second and a bit probably lost there from Sue, and Damien has some breathing space as Tiddy Milk now looking to just maintain his pace. He would have hoped to have been a bit stronger on those soft tyres, but I think he is going to be looking at, unless the guys in front take each other out or make mistakes, I think he is going to be looking at trying to battle to secure that 3rd place, and he's done a great job of that so far. But Hoyland there on the medium tyres already showing some pace today, so it's great stuff from Hoyland in the 28s on those medium tyres, so looking a lot more comfortable, and he's got his head down and he is locked on, laser focused, and wants to finish this season with a great result. MST Shadow there in 5th, still fending off Pablo Jr., who is closing down. He's on the soft tyres as Pablo again. Would have been hoping to have had a bit more progress on those soft tyres, but not able to make that progress as of yet. Vane there in 7th with the hard tyre runners of Paris and Grahamid Ali at the back. Grahamid Ali still chasing down, as you can see there, lap 4, a second and a half quicker, but Paris is finding some pace on that previous lap, a 30.2, giving him 9/10 of that 1.5 seconds loss back, and he's in a 30.6 that lap. What can Grahamid Ali manage in his chase back to the back end of the field? 30.7, so he's lost a 10th, but that is down to Paris finding some pace now, and not necessarily Grahamid losing pace, as you can see from his lap times. So, can Paris hold off the chasing Grahamid over the coming laps? We shall see. Can they make their way through the field to chase down a potential podium, as HKRT Damien goes purple on his own previous lap record of a 27.1, with Sue doing a 27.2. So, after Sue lost that second, he's second lap time, he's lost another 10th, so Damien really making use of that breathing space, and now settling down into a rhythm and pushing on as they head down the straight onto lap 8. And he does break his lap record by 0.003 of a second, 3/1000 of a second. But SRT Sue takes that lap record at the very next lap with a 27.063. So not a massive margin, but Sue is making Damien work for this. So great stuff there from Sue. CD Mill looking a little bit lonely there in third. Hoyland in fourth. MST Shadow still holding Pablo behind him. Those soft tyres not paying dividends here for Pablo, and he's wearing through them quite quickly, it would seem. Well, he's actually looking after them quite well. We're on lap 8 and they're not even 50% worn yet, so he is actually doing a really good job of maintaining that pace. So maybe he's looking to go long on the soft tyres and long on the mediums to give himself the minimum 3 laps of the hards. A little bit of lag there, dropping MST Shadow apparently onto the bonnet of Pablo's NSX, and then back to being 6 or 7 car lengths ahead. So yeah, lag proving a bit of a problem there. I can't imagine that was easy for Pablo to negotiate, assuming it was MST Shadow that had the lag issue. So Perez with a 32.1 on the last lap, but Grahamid with a 30.3. So nearly 2 seconds gained by Grahamid there in that one lap. After Perez started showing some pace, it looks like he's made a mistake on that last lap, and that's given Grahamid another 2 seconds into that gap. But Grahamid is a man on a mission. Let's have a look, see what they're doing when they come across the line to start lap 9. I am surprised neither of these guys have decided to dive into the pits and jump onto the faster compound tyres now, like we saw in League 1, but 32.4 and another 2 seconds taken out of the Perez's advantage. Look at that consistency for Grahamid on those hard tyres. He is absolutely laser focused on not becoming, well, making the most of what he's got underneath him to nullify that instant with that spin where he on lap 1, which scuppered his race from the very beginning, like we saw in the last race, sadly for Grahamid. But he is chasing the pack down and making progress on that gap. So Damien with a 27.1, 3/10 quicker than Sue, so he stretched out again as Sue becomes a victim of that wall of champions again, picking up some damage there on the front right, and that's going to lose him time. He's going to have lost. So yeah, so Damien taking the fast lap of the race, first driver into the 26s with a 26.9, and just at the wrong time Sue hits the wall of champions and loses nearly 2 seconds to Damien on that one lap. So the gap is starting to grow massively, and City Milk's there struggling to get close to them on those soft tyres, but still maintaining decent consistency there, with Hoyland chasing him down in 4th place and doing a great job. Another 28.7 on lap 8, and he is absolutely locked in. I think he's going to be chasing after that podium. He's on the medium compound tyre. Now we've seen in recent races, well, in most races this season, as he's been trying to get the grips with that car, mistakes cropping up throughout the race where he's ended up spinning. So we could just keep our fingers crossed for him, because he's come on leaps and bounds so far. Let's keep our fingers crossed he can keep it on the straight and narrow, and maybe even put a challenge into Tiddymilk for a podium. What a boost that would be for him if he decides to carry on for next season. Great stuff from Hoyland there. MST Shadow will kick of oversteer on the exit of the hairpin, but he has started to break the spirit of Pablo. A couple of good 7 or 8 car lengths now between the two of them, as Pablo looks to be now struggling with those soft tyres. Pablo is sort of gone a bit cold in the last part, the last second half of the season. He was he did all the work to secure nearly secure 2nd place in the early stages of the season, and he's fallen away as the races have gone on, and not quite managed to replicate that success. So obviously struggling with something, whether it be the car, his team, or maybe he's just lost his head a little bit. But he's got a bit of work to do to make sure he secures that. As I think Muhammad Ali, they are now into the pits, Muhammad and Paris. So they're both taking on fuel. I think these two, when the others stop, because they're now going to be coming out on a faster compound tyre. So they're going to have at least one lap where they, in theory, will have fresher tyres and be able to get some decent lap times in. They're going to be able to put the pressure on the guys ahead, as Damien is back down to a 27.7 on that previous lap, with Sue doing a 33.6. So something happened to Sue there to cause that, and Sue now well off the back of Damien, who looks to be running away with this. Really unfortunate and sad to see, as Sue has provided us with some great entertainment towards the latter stages of these races of late, but it doesn't look like he's going to be able to replicate that here in Montreal, as they're on the same compound tyre, they're on stint 1, and he has dropped back by quite some margin, as Damien now looking to come up and lap Muhammad Ali and Paris, but only because they have already stopped. So Muhammad Ali doing the right thing, getting straight out of the way of Damien and allowing him clean passage through. And back on the road goes Muhammad after that unfortunate lappage, but Damien is going to be stopping at some point. So I doubt whether it will finish up being lapped. And Sue also chasing down Muhammad there, you see in the distance, but that gives you an idea of how big the gap is between the two of them now. Unfortunately, we don't get the interval times. We wish we did on the replays on GT7. Something maybe they can bring as an update, but after all these years, you think they would have already done it. So we'll have to cope and manage as best we can. But we already know that a 28.6 from the previous lap, so this lap was a 27.9, and Damien is in the zone, and a 27.4 is even more time being put into. And look at that consistency as well from Damien. Tiddy Mill still moving, as Hoyland in there is still hanging on in there in fourth, still looking to chase down Tiddy Milk, but I think Tiddy Milk might have the edge on him in this first stint. But remember, Tiddy Milk is on those soft tyres, and he is going to be, by the looks of things, taking them for a full stint of this of the fuel tank here. So that is going to potentially play into the hands of Hoyland, as Hoyland still has the soft tyre to come. And he's maintained really good strong lap consistency throughout this medium tyre stint, so we shall see whether or not that benefits him going into the latter stages of the race. MST Shadow having dropped back, but he's certainly pulled away from Pablo, who's running a similar strategy to Tiddy Milk up in front, running really long on these soft tyres, but he does seem to be suffering a lot more now. Dropping down into the 30s with Tiddy Milk in the 28s and 29s still. So Pablo really struggling now on those soft tyres. Vane on the mediums, running long. That could still come into play, could still benefit him, as we see Tiddy Milk now diving into the pits to get rid of those soft tyres. Paris in 8th place, as Hoyland also dives in the pits to get rid of the medium tyres. So that's an interesting move from Hoyland there. Unless he's going to try and run the same amount of laps on the soft tyres, and then do a slightly longer stint on the hards perhaps, but maybe a trick opportunity missed from Hoyland. So Hoyland and Pablo come out not far behind Hoyland. So Pablo making advances there into Hoyland. I'm not sure whether Hoyland had a problem. I did think, looking at how close they were on refueling, considering how far apart they would have been on pit entry, I wondered if Hoyland made a mistake going into the pits. So I think he's lost some time there. So a 2:15 last lap for Hoyland, yeah, and a 2:09 last lap for 2:09 for Pablo. So 6 seconds lost. I wonder if there was a mistake there from Hoyland, which is now going to play into Pablo's hands, but I'm sure that will drop him back behind MST Shadow when the pit stops. Everybody has their first pit stop. City Milk out on the medium tyres, so looking strong there. Vane still going on the medium tyres. MST Shadow in third now. Going to be, by the looks of things, going to have to come in at the end of this lap, but that's some good strong lap times there from MST Shadow. Let's go up and have a look, see where Sue and Damien are. Damien is a long way down the straight as Sue has just come round the hairpin. But Sue got his head back down, and he's got a few decent laps in the last few laps, but not gaining now on Damien. Like he's solidifying that second place as we speak. So that battle does look like it is done, barring a mistake from Damien. Yeah, Pablo closing up onto the back of Hoyland now. Pablo on the mediums, Hoyland on the hard tyres, as MST Shadow does indeed dive into the pits. Now this is going to be interesting. I don't think either of these are going to be close enough to get past him. Shadow already putting fuel in, so some struggles here from Hoyland and Pablo really. He's now going to drop them well back behind MST Shadow, I believe, as Hoyland gets a big kick of oversteer, and he does lose that position to Pablo. So really unfortunate from Hoyland, but he's on the hard tyres. He's still got the softs to come, so there's still potential there. But I do think the battle with City Milk is now slightly beyond him, and yes, MST Shadow going for 81% fuel, so not fueling to the max there, but he is going to come out in front of Pablo and Hoyland by quite a bit, quite a margin really. Pablo and Hoyland just coming round the centre S's now, and MST Shadow all the way through turns 3 and 4. So, and we now have the medium tyre runners at the top end of the field coming in to change onto a different compound. Will it be hards or will it be softs? Or will they do different? So 69% fuel for Damien as he comes out on the medium tyres. On the hard tyres, it took a while to update there. I did think, hang on a minute, he's got that wrong. But no, he's out onto the hard compound tyres. Now Sue is going to try and do what he's done in the previous races and mix things up here. And he is coming out on the soft compound tyres. So what can Sue do to bridge that gap whilst Damien is on the hard compound tyre? We shall see. City Milk then back in third now, with MST Shadow now in fourth, Pablo in fifth, and Hoyland in sixth, due to the various escapades and issues these guys have had. Hoyland looking like he's struggling a little bit to get grips with the hard tyres. But well, he's in the low 31s there, so he's not doing too bad compared to what we saw from Grahamid and Paris. Although we now have Grahamid up into 7th place on the soft compound tyres, having got rid of those hard tyres. He is now running on those softs, and making some decent progress. Paris has decided to go for the mediums, but he has had some really poor lap times there, considering what we've seen on the medium compound tyre. So he is going to have been losing pace left, right, and centre there, and it does look like the pendulum has turned into Grahamid's favour there. Is swung and given Grahamid a advantage. Vane in 8th, running in 8th, out onto the track on the hard compound tyres. So Damien with everything all to himself up in front. Sue not as far back as he was, but he's on that faster compound. 27.6 for his outlap, 30.5, so he took out 3 seconds of that advantage in just one lap. He also had a second faster on his in lap as well, so really strong stuff there from the recovering Sue. In fact, for the last 4 laps, he's taken at least a 10th out of Damien's advantage. So Sue is on a mission. What can he do? Can he seriously replicate his attempted heroics from the last 2 races and take it to Damien in that last stint? What has he got to offer? Bearing in mind Damien still has that soft tyre compound to come, and he may well be a lightning quick like Sue. So Titty Milk in 3rd, lonely for now, but it does sound like MST Shadow is chasing him down, and he is. MST Shadow really knuckling down on those soft tyres, the faster compound, but he is taking that time out of Titty Milk, and he is pushing for that podium finish as Pablo has broken the spirit of Hoyland, who is there just now solidifying 6th place, but he's down into the low 30s on that last lap on the hard tyres, so starting to settle in and find that pace. So good stuff from Hoyland. Pablo on the mediums, and Hoyland on that previous lap was actually faster than Pablo by 0.2 of a second on a slower compound tyre. So Hoyland really does have some pace around here, and he does look comfortable with that car. So what can he do to close that gap? There's Pablo across the line with a 30.7, only 0.2 lost considering the compound difference, so that is good stuff from Hoyland. What will he do for the rest of the stint? Muhammad Ali then in 7th place on those soft tyres, not putting in the fast laps that he probably would have hoped for. He would have hoped to have been running in those 28s, I would imagine, more consistently, but he's still putting the pressure on the guys ahead, really, as he could well find himself in that last stint on the medium compound tyres, having a lot more underneath him to bring him back into play for the higher positions. As Paris, you can see there, is closing down on Vane on the hard tyres, Paris on the mediums. Not really an awful lot going on at the moment as the guys start to settle down, but it does look like Stu really is closing up on Damien. So Damien with a 29.0 on both of his previous laps and a 30.5 on his first lap on the hard compound tyres. Stu taking that fast lap of the race with a cracking 126.2. What a lap that is from Stu there, and he's a 10th up already. Is he going to crack the 25s in the race? I mean, that would be something, but we didn't even see that, I don't think, no, we didn't. It was a 26.0 in League 1 for the fastest lap of the race from Manos, so we didn't even see that in League 1. What is he going to do as he comes through the chicane past the Wall of Champions? And he is a little brush there, so that's probably lost him a little bit of time. What lap are we looking at? Has he done a 25? No, not quite, but he's back. He's still in the 26s, and that means he has taken out nearly 2.5 to 3 seconds a lap from Damien on this soft tyre stint. Damien will be coming in and putting the soft tyres on Sue obviously still has the hard compound to go. Sue is pushing like a madman, and he's made a bit of a mistake there, pushing a bit too hard, and that's dropped him back a little bit, but he will get his head down, get that damage repaired on the car as it goes round. Somehow that works, and then off up the road he will go after Damien again. Right on the back end of Damien now is Sue. You'd have to think after the hairpin on those soft tyres, he's going to have way more grip. He's going to be in that slipstream, and exit speed is going to be everything. And he's nailed the exit, and he's now going to be closing up in that slipstream on the back of Damien. Can he get the move done? Will he go for it even? He's moved to the inside, so he is going for it. They are going to be side by side on the entry. He hasn't quite got enough. Damien braking just the right amount late, and he's managed to hold that line into turn one, into the final chicane, through past the wall of champions as they go across the line, and now into turn 1 and 2. The Senna S's, as Stu is desperately looking for a way past to really make use of these soft tyres. Damien kicking up all the dust as he gets onto the grass on the exit of turn 2, and they go into turn 3 and 4. Off they go down now towards the left-right chicane, and Sue dives to the inside, but no, Damien has got enough on the brakes, but Sue has now got a great run on Damien. Great exit from Sue. Oh, and Sue has lost it. Sue's lost it, and that is so unfortunate. He's just got he has such a great exit, and he's just ended up losing that back end. I think he got a bit excited. Oh, he just kissed the rear end of Damien's car and tried to dive to the inside, and it's just spat him round, and I think that is the battle done from Sue. So unfortunate. I thought we were on for an absolute barnstormer towards the end of this race, but unfortunately I do think that it will be too much for Sue to do now, as he struggles to get back with that damage and dirty tyres. So Damien looks like he has weathered the storm and will have this one sewn up. So unlucky there from Sue there. As Tiddy Milk and MST Shadow now are looking to do battle. MST Shadow closing up quickly on Tiddy Milk. MST Shadow on the soft compound tyres. Tiddy Milk on the mediums. So closing and closing and closing as they go through the hairpin. Shadow gets a much better line, or does he? No, the kick of oversteer as he tries to avoid the wall. But he will now tuck in behind and get a good tow along this straight. And he looks to be just enough back to not be affected going through the chicane. But he could have a good run out of the chicane onto the start-finish straight, taking him up to the start-finish line. But he does get that wrong. Tiddy Milk kisses the wall of champions, as does Shadow, I think, as they head across the start-finish line. 28.4 and a 29.7. So Shadow losing some time there towards the end of that lap. We picked it up as he was closing in, but we picked up the wrong lap really, and he's lost time. Whereas Tiddy Milk is maintaining some really strong, consistent lap times as the fuel starts to burn off. He's just getting quicker and quicker, so Shadow is more work to do, it would seem. Pablo comfortably ahead of Hoyland now, making good use of those medium tyres with Hoyland there on the hards, just maintaining that consistent speed. 1 minute 30s for Hoyland on the hard tyres, so he's running some good pace on those hards. He doesn't want to really stay on them for too much longer, as he wants to make the most use of the soft tyres when he gets out on them. But we're coming up to the lap 24 coming up now, so 11 laps to go after this one, and I would expect to start seeing people diving in for their final stop from this lap onward, at the end of this lap onwards. That's great. We have missed, but Grahamid has already been in on his for his last stop. He's just come out on his outlap now. So he is on the medium tyres for the last 12 laps of this race. 12 laps of this race. Lap 23 of 24 currently, 34 currently on. That's you. A little bit too little too late now at 26.1. Once he's crikey, he's 2 tenths up. So Sue, I think it's done. I don't think he can bridge that gap. But he is trying. And the 26.1 is one hell of a lap with that level of worn tyres. So he's already 2 tenths up. Is he gonna do a 25? Is he going to do a 25? That will be crazy if he does, considering the pace we saw in League One. Damien now into the pits. I think he got the last chicane slightly wrong, and that lost him some time. Yeah, it did. Lost 3 tenths through that chicane. So Damien will now be coming out on the soft tyres for the remaining 10 laps of this race. As Sue now pushing on those soft tyres, still with a pit stop to come, to dive in and take on the slower hard compound tyre. What could have been had he not had that unfortunate spin, because his pace on these softs has been something else. But I think the race for first is too much for him, I would imagine, unless Damien does make a series of mistakes. So Tiddy Milk holding off MST Shadow still. Shadow not making any further inroads really into Tiddy Milk, although he is starting to crawl his way back. Pablo then in 5th, with Hoyland a long way further back now. He's lost some time on those last 2 laps on his consistent laps that he was putting in. But he has got the soft tyre still to come. Whereas I think Pablo was on the soft tyres to start with, so there's still places to be had for Hoyland, with also MST Shadow on the soft tyre, struggling to make inroads into Tinnymore. So there still could be some time to be had for Hoyland. Vane still looking strong in 7th place, holding off Paris and Grahamid. Grahamid off the bat, but he has been on those mediums. He has made his last stop. So this could still come good when everybody ahead of him does their final stop. Which for Paris, you would imagine, is going to be the end of this lap. Just looking at his fuel level. So Sue in the first place, still running in the 26s, despite the heavy wear on his tyres. And he is running low on fuel, so he will be coming in the end of this lap. His soft tyre experiment there just coming to an end at the end of this lap. What can he then do for the remaining laps, which will have to be served on the hard tyre? You'd have to say he is going to lose loads of time to Damien, with Damien being on the soft tyre now. MST Shadow's probably going to be struggling with those tyres now. Looking very, very worn, especially on that rear left. Looking really sorry for himself. Is he going to try and do another lap after this? He's potentially got the fuel. It's only just dropped onto the red. Oh, a big tank slapper there as he comes out of the hairpin. I think that might be his warning to go in and change tyres for the remaining laps of this race. Will Tiddy Milk be doing the same? Sue now into the pits, as we thought, to put on the hard compound tyres, and Damien now takes the lead. Are they going to come out neck and neck? Damien now going around turn 1 through the centre S's. Sue not quite coming out, so Damien has retaken the lead of this race. And Sue has actually dropped out. Oh no, he's not. He's just come out ahead of Tiddy Milk there. He's still got a stop to go, I think. But Paris is now in his way, having come out on the soft tyres for his final stint. Grahamid is still on those mediums and a long way up the road. And Paris has put it into the wall. So was that what happened there? So Perez on the exit there, under blue flag conditions. Under blue flag conditions, and oh, does he get punted off by Sue there? That certainly looked that way. Let's go back and have a little look, because we don't really want to be seeing that. I know Perez has got blue flag, so he should really be backing out now. But yeah, he gets absolutely shunted out of the way, and Sue just carries on. I'm not really sure what you thought was going to happen there. Yes, he will have every argument to say Perez should have moved aside prior to the apex of that corner, because it was under blue flag conditions. But that does not excuse shunting somebody off of track in that manner. Bit of a surprise to see that. He's shown some serene form and some really good racing. Whether it may have just been a mistake, but it is the responsibility of the driver doing the lapping to make sure that they don't do anything untoward. You know, you got to bear in mind you're coming up against slower cars, and you have to take that into consideration. Really unfortunate for Perez, who was battling for position with Grahamid, and now on the soft tyres would have been wanting to have made progress. But he's ended up dropping way back now, and I think his race is run, unfortunately, after that collision. The Graham is still keeping consistent on those lap times. I'm not really sure. I think maybe we've missed some of the pit stops, because Graham has struggled a little bit more than perhaps it led us to believe. As Vane is on the hard tyres up ahead, but he's a long way ahead, and I don't think he's got to stop again. MST Shadow also now out onto the hard tyres to finish his lap, and Hoyland coming back at him. Hoyland, who I think may still have to... Oh no, Hoyland has pitted for the final time, hasn't he? No, he's still got the soft tyres to come. So, not really sure what's going on there either. I thought Hoyland had done... He's gone long on these hard tyres and not giving himself many laps on the softs. We'll have to see how this unfolds, because maybe we've missed a pit stop there. But either way, let's get back up to the top. So we've got Damien streaking out in front, doing 26s, which is comfortably keeping him in the lead. And he will just be taking those soft tyres now to the end. Hugh there in second place, unfortunately not able to keep the pressure on Damien up in front. City Milk was in third. He's coming to the pits, but it does look like he's going to hold on to third, as Pablo is a long way back, just coming through the chicanes of the Wall of Champions and across the start-finish straight. And City Milk now coming out of the pits, although this could be closer than I thought. There's Pablo, and here comes Titty Milk, and they're going to come together on this corner. Titty Milk just getting out in front of Pablo there, but Pablo on the medium tyres, Titty Milk on the hard, so going to be a pace disadvantage for Titty Milk. Can Pablo secure third place after what I was saying earlier about him struggling for form in this latter part of the season? He's kept himself clean, head down, and he has made progress where it counts. I don't think he's got another stop to make, so this is a battle for the podium. MST Shadow has dropped back after those pit stops, so not current pit, as Hoyland and Vane both now come into the pits. Hoyland to put on the soft tyres, and Vane I think also to put on the soft tyres, as Grahamid Ali comes through. Yeah, nowhere near. He does come out ahead of Vane though. Grahamid Ali up to 7th place, Hoyland in 6th on the soft tyres, but a long way back from MST Shadow. So the battle is going to be for the podium throughout the last 5 laps of this race, as they come through the final chicane to start lap 30 of 34. And Titty Milk there struggling on the exit, He's collided with the Water Champions. Looking at the damage, can Pablo go around the outside of him? Did he not going defensive on the inside? Holds the line, holds the apex and gets on the exit, but he gets a big helping of oversteer there, and that is going to give Pablo a little bit more of an edge coming down into turns 3 and 4. Really hard section to master on the hard tyres. It requires a lot of grip, which the hard tyres don't often offer up, but City Milk holding his own there through that section as they now head out on the straight down towards turns 8 and 9. Just keeping an eye on the mini map, and doesn't look like we've got anything brewing outside of this, so we'll stick with these guys as we head towards the latter laps of this race. As we've got a little bit of a lull coming towards the conclusion of this race, and not only the conclusion of this race, the conclusion of the inaugural GrTwosdays Championship season with the Ultimate Racing League. It's important. It's something to mention to everyone. If you are watching this, and if you are interested in getting involved, and you like the look of the GR2 cars, we will be carrying on another season of the GrTwosdays Championship. And we will be welcoming any newcomers into the championship season. If you are interested in joining, drop your name and PSN in the comments, or jump onto our Facebook group, the Ultimate Racing League, and put a post up or comment on one of the upcoming posts promoting the next season of GrTwosdays, and get yourself involved. We'll be doing a track list vote, and we'll also be doing a car vote. The NSX will be being left behind for the next season, and we will be using one of the other GR2 cars. So get yourself involved before we make those decisions, so you can have your say. But we will be welcoming new drivers. Any newcomers will be taking their place via the time trial system. The guys already established in the top league will maintain their positions as long as there's no real big outliers in the time trials. The time trial being held around this very circuit, the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Canada, and we've got a time trial list that you will slot into, and then we will position people within their leagues as Pablo dives into the pits. I thought Pablo had finished out his pit stops, but maybe he's got the hard tyres to come. He has. He's done the softs and now the mediums, so I forgot about that. But he's doing the 3 laps on the hard, so Titty Milk is now looking a sure thing for that 3rd place on the podium. But yeah, so get in touch via Facebook. I'm your Enzo Jack, real name Scott Hoare on Facebook. And you'll see me posting numerous things around the GrTwosdays Championship in the coming weeks. Alternatively, get in touch with Alex Hutchinson, URL Unforgiven, our CEO and owner of the Ultimate Racing League, and he will put you in contact and in the right place as we now come to the conclusion of this race under the lights of Canada. As you can see, the lighting now just dropping down towards the lower levels as Sue looking to come up behind Grahamid there and looking to lap him. He's on the hard tyres, is Sue. A long way back now from Damien, who has not been able to take that fastest lap of the race away from Sue. But it won't matter to him, as this race win definitely secures his victory in the championship, and I'm sure we will be seeing him and probably Sue up in League 1 next season if we can, depending on the organisers. That should then bring everybody else the opportunities to push for the League 2 title next time out, and Hugh and Damien can look to try and push themselves onwards in the top tier of the GrTwosdays Championship. And I'll just go down to Hoyland. Shout out to Hoyland. He's managed to maintain some really good strong pace. He's coming up to be lapped, but he is 6th place, and he's ahead of some of the quicker guys, particularly Muhammad Ali back there in 8th place, Paris in 9th, and he's really come into his own in this championship towards the latter stages. I do hope we see him back next season, along with the rest of these guys, to be honest. MST Shadow, another one, a latecomer to the championship. He seems to have enjoyed himself. He seems to be very competitive. It'd be good to see him get a contract for next season. And along with the rest of the guys looking to keep hold of Vane as well. Hopefully he decides to continue on. Next season, the different car will provide a very different challenge. We'll just go back up to Damien as he is on the final lap, and we want to see him take the checkered flag. Next season, it'll be a choice between the likes of the Nissan GTR, the Audi RS5. Off the top of my head, you got I can't think of the other GR2 cars. As Damien now comes through the final chicane, past the wall of champions, where he will now count himself one of the champions to have successfully negotiated. He crosses the line to win the race and secure that title. Great stuff from Damien, a very dominant performance here in Montreal, as Sue now comes flat out across the chicane. He picks up a 4.5 second penalty, and well, I don't think he'll be getting the fastest lap of the race for that. I think the stewards will strip him of that point. But yeah, so another really unfortunate thing to see from one of the drivers in this championship, if I'm honest. Not sure why you would think that was okay. So very disappointing. Third placing, looks like Tiddy Milk has secured his another podium, which is great stuff from Tiddy Milk. And securing a 3rd place on the grid. A flash of the lights, he's chuffed to bits with that podium, and there he goes across the line. MST Shadow next to come through the final chicane to secure 4th place. A great performance from MST Shadow. Pablo Jr. now coming through, and I believe this will secure him 2nd place in the championship, so massive congratulations to Pablo for that. Shown great consistency throughout this season, and then finally slamming it. Oh, really? After everything we've said, great stuff from Hoyland. He's going to cross the line in 6th place, and again, great to see him stick it out and improve throughout the season. And that is your final finisher, with Vane and Muhammad Ali and Perez having been lapped, finishing in 7th, 8th and 9th. So that is everything we have time for. That is the race done. That is the season done for both Leagues 1 and 2. And I'd like to say a massive thank you to anybody who has taken the time out to watch these comms. It does take time out of my day. Please give it a like. It does benefit my status as a content sharer. So give it a like if you liked it. If you don't, give it a thumbs down. I really don't mind. I'm open to criticism. Please give me your opinions. But otherwise, it's been great to entertain you all, and a massive thank you to all the competitors who have entertained you all via my commentary. All the best, and we will see you next season for GrTwosdays Round 2.